All praises to Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, Basham Rakar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. I want to do a quick video or a quick talk about a quick point that on something that I've noticed, man. And it's on how it's very hard to, or it's very difficult to not really like Israelites in any kind of way, man, because the thing I've seen about Israelites, right, when you actually understand who the Israelites are, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we're ugly, right, and beautiful at the same time, and the Israelites are ugly and beautiful at the same time. And what I mean by that is that even though there's Israelites in the world that you can see that they're kind of bugged out or whatever, and they're kind of wicked, man, right? There'll be that still that spark in them that you can see, like, oh, but you see, but that bit, like, they're okay with that bit, man, but then they're still wicked, man, right? You can see that little spark of talent and that little spark where it's almost like they want to be righteous, but they don't, they can't, man, right? And when you actually understand the scriptures and you actually understand how deep it is, right, it's because Yahweh's blinded certain Israelites to not even be able to understand him, right? This is First Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. And that bit of peculiarness within every single Israelite, man, like, it's hard to not like them, man, right? Even though you can tell that these people are like, they're sneaky to a certain degree, they're kind of worldly, like they don't believe in the Lord according to the proper truth, but you can still see a certain thing in them that you're like, man, they're likable though, right? Like, if you even look at all of these musicians in the world and that, even though the things that they're talking about are wicked as hell, right? You can still see the flow though, and you can see, like, oh, imagine if there was making a song to praise Yahweh, how beautiful that song would be. You can see the remnant and how it's like they want to be righteous, but they can't, man. Right? First Peter chapter 2 and verse 9 again. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, right? That ye should show forth the praise of him who have called you out of the darkness into the marvelous light. Every single Israelite ultimately is part of this, but they're not gonna get it in the same waves, if I can say it like that, man. The first wave are gonna be the elected nation of Israel, and then there's gonna be other people that are gonna come back through reincarnation after that, man. But they're gonna end up understanding it through death by pain, man. So they're gonna have to go through like a harsh, brutal way of leaving this earth and then come back to get the same understanding that we're gonna have if we're of the elect. Because we're hoping to be of the elect, but we don't know, man. Because the difference between the Israelites of the elect and the ones that are not of the elect, the only difference is Yahweh, right? The difference isn't nothing that they particularly did themselves. The difference is Yahweh, right? Romans chapter 11 and verse 7. What then? Israel have not attained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. So if the other Israelites wasn't blinded, they'd receive it too. But Yahweh blinded them so that he can make it be a thing of, he ultimately decides who is and who is not going to repent, not us, right? There's nothing more special about one Jake in the world that can sing and dance versus another Israelite in the world that can sing and dance but isn't famous. They can both sing and dance, right? But Yahweh made one be able to sing and dance, and the other not be able to sing and dance and be able to get famous from it. Or made two Israelites be able to sing and dance, but one can becomes famous from it and the other one don't. That was Yahweh's choice, right? The same thing with how everyone can pick up a Bible. Everyone's got access to a Bible. A Bible is not expensive. You can buy a Bible for £5, right? You can buy like 5 Bibles. Probably for £20, you can buy at least 2 Bibles that are of a high enough quality, right? But if you've just got a mobile phone, you can download the Bible app onto your phone for free, right? It's not expensive to have a Bible. Everyone can have access to the Bible, but everybody cannot understand it, and everybody cannot believe the things that are written in there to be true, right? unless Yahweh's allowed them the ability to do that, man. And back on the point, every single Israelite, man, Israelites are beautiful and they're ugly at the same time, man. And if we would have been back in ancient Israel and we would have saw how we was living, we would have saw that we was beautiful and ugly at the same time then. Because there would have been Israelites there singing, there would have been beautiful women, like Israelite women, right? All the Israelite women that are in all up in this Hollywood, or the majority of them anyway, that are all up in this Hollywood stuff, are in this fame thing, they're very beautiful, right? Some of these Israelite celebrity women and that, right? A lot of them are very attractive. The ones that end up making it to the high levels of fame without having to do weird lyrics about what color their under thing is, and it. They're beautiful. The old school musicians, a lot of them are beautiful, man. The old school Israelite women musicians, they were beautiful, but they were wicked though, right? The Israelite men, they had flow, right? They had style and that they made you want to copy the things that they did, but they was doing wickedness though. Because Israelites are beautiful, right? And ugly at the same time, man. It's very strange when you actually see that, man. And that's why Yahweh is ultimately gonna give every single Israelite salvation, man. Because Yahweh made every single Israelite be beautiful in their own way. But then some of them he made be ugly with because of how they don't believe in him. But we've all got that ugly part in us too. But the only difference is that Yahweh is gonna justify some, which are the elect, and not justify others. Sirach chapter 10 and verse 30. The poor man is honored for his skill, and the rich man is honored for his riches. And the point I'm making is that the Israelites are the poor men, and they've got skill, man. Every single Israelite, if you was to be around them long enough, you would see that they've got that something, that's particular skill thing in them. They'd have a particular skill, man. And a lot of Israelites, their skill would be something musical, right? They might be able to drop a little quick 16 and you'd be like, raw, that was nice, you know. They might play to play an instrument, or if they don't know how to play an instrument, they could learn how to. They'd be able to learn how to pick up something along those lines. They might be able to sing, right? They might have a crazy amount of strength. They might have a deep understanding of herbs. They might have a deep understanding of something within this world. They might understand clothes, and you don't even know. They might understand color schemes. There'd be something that, some kind of gift that they have, that we'll be able to see that remnant that they're an Israelite, man. That you'll be able to see that little spark that they're an Israelite. But at the same time, Israelites are wicked too. And that's why every single prophet that ever came to tell them to repent, they always hated him, man. Especially Yahweh Shai, because when they looked at Yahweh Shai, they couldn't see a fault. Whereas with every other prophet before that, they could have found certain things to try and say against them, but they couldn't find anything to say against Yahweh Shai. So they had to bear false witness against him. Right? But the point I'm making is that Israelites are beautiful and ugly at the same time. And that's why Paul said this about the Israelites, right? Which Paul wasn't no teacher of heathens, man. All those people that he was going amongst, right? He was always trying to sift out the Israelites that was among them. Now, could there have been heathens that would have been there when he was going out to try and find his people among these lands that Israelites have been scattered? Of course. But he was always doing his teaching to try and find the Israelites that was among them, and not to try and search out for the heathens. He was trying to make, through jealousy, those that are his flesh come out of those people and be like, man, my spirit is telling me that this word that's being spoken of is for me too. Because they had the understanding even deeper back then that Israelites was calling Israelites that was following after Greek ways, Greeks. This is Romans chapter 10 and verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. And that's no different, really. It's just like a different wording of saying that the Israelites are beautiful because they have a zeal of God, but then they're ugly at the same time because they're ignorant of God's righteousness, and that's what makes them ugly, man. Because they'll try and think that they can make your own thing be God. You can come at God and, oh, I believe in a God, but I just don't believe it in no way. I don't follow no religion, thinking they're deep because they can say that, oh, I believe in God, but I'm spiritual. But then they can't even explain, like, they're the only one that believes what they believe. They're the only person that thinks the way that they think, and it can change based on how they feel on any given day. with some of them, man. Right? Israelites. The point of this lesson is to say that Israelites are beautiful and ugly at the same time, and then that's why ultimately, let me show this. Ultimately, Yahweh, He's gonna have mercy on every single one of us, man. Right? On every single Israelite is gonna receive mercy. Romans chapter 11 and verse 25. For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, that you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles become in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written. Right? There shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. All Israel is going to be saved. Right? Every single Israelite is going to be under that covenant, man. Some are going to get it the first wave. Others are going to get it the second, third, fourth. It's going to be, but they're all going to get it. Because they're all going to be under that new covenant, man. And that's why you've got some Israelites out there. And this goes into the thing about how Israelites are ugly. Right? Because some Israelites will hear this and they'll say, well, if that's the case, then why do I need to even repent now if I'm going to get the kingdom anyway? But what they don't understand is that the kingdom of heaven is forever. They're going to be alive that whole time, remembering that they had the chance to do the right thing and receive all of this beautiful stuff in a nice way, but they chose to reject that. And now, when their lineage and their descendants are looking at them, and all of us are going to be righteous, and we're going to be talking about the kingdom, right? Their children are going to want to know what their father did or what their great granddad did in that time, and they ain't going to have anything righteous to say. They're going to have to say, well, oh, I was a scoffer. Oh, I took the charogma. Oh, I was a rapper, making our people be sinners. Like, they ain't going to have nothing righteous to say in that time. Imagine the shame that you'll feel if your great-great-grandson or your grandson comes to you and says, oh, granddad, where was you when our people was establishing the kingdom at the beginning stages? Well, what was you doing? Because I know you was back there back then, granddad. I know you was back there then. So tell me what you did during that time. I want to hear the story. I want to hear the story because I've heard about what the elect was doing. So I want to hear what you was doing during that time. And then all you can say is you was a scoffer and got destroyed in a lake of fire. You know how embarrassing that will be, man. There's no honor to that. That's a scary thought, man. And that's why every single Israelite that doesn't want to have that kind of scary tale to tell, when that charagma comes, they're gonna choose to have that guillotine swing down on their head, man, rather than do that. And Lord will, I'll rather have that kind of thought process to have a guillotine swing my head off, man, than to end up being dishonorable and have to be in the kingdom of heaven, looking my descendants in the eyes, knowing that I was a waste man in that time, and some little idiot that was too weak and liked my head so much that I wanted to take the Quran and follow after Esau, a man that's destined to be destroyed. That's weak, man. You ain't gonna have no honor in the kingdom of heaven if you choose that path. But then the scary thing is that if that's the path you take, it was chosen for you, man. And even there's still shame with that, because you'll be like, well, I was powerless to even do anything about that. You're gonna know that both sides are gonna know that they was powerless to even really do anything about that, which is what I'm gonna read right now. Verse 27, for this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins. As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sakes, but as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake, because every Israelite ultimately is loved, man. But there's some Israelites that are enemies right now for the sake of the gospel, so that certain things can be fulfilled, man. Right? Certain things that regarding how only certain amounts of Israelites are going to receive salvation the first go round, so that certain of these things can be fulfilled. So that there's going to be Israelites that go into the lake of fire and all types of stuff, man. So that this stuff can be fulfilled. Verse 29, for the gifts and calling of God are without repentance, because God can choose whoever he wants to choose, man. Right? Doesn't it say that in Romans 9? God chooses whoever he wants to choose. Verse 30, for as ye in times past have not believed God, yet now have obtained mercy through their unbelief. So we're lucky that there's certain other Israelites that ain't believing, because that's gonna allow them more of a chance for us to receive mercy,
because we believe the message, man. Verse 31, even so these also now, even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they may also obtain mercy. So they're going to receive mercy anyway because they're part of the nation. They're part of the nation. Our nation's still going to go into a beautiful state anyway, because what did Isaiah say, man? Except the Lord, except Yahweh of hosts had left us a small remnant, would have been of Sodom and would have been of Gomorrah. So he was basically thanking the elect back then. He was thanking the elect back then, man. And in the kingdom, people are going to thank, ultimately first, they're going to thank Yahweh Shai, who's the top of anything that you can even call election or being predestined. He's the top of that, right? He's the preeminence, the first of getting all of that stuff. Yahweh Shai is the top, the beginning of all of that, man. There ain't nothing that any Israelites going to be able to say that they did before Yahweh Shai. He's already did it first, man. And that's why we're waiting to be changed, to have a body that's fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to working whereby he is even able to subdue all things unto himself. Yahweh Shai can already do that. But we're waiting to be given the ability so that we can do it. Verse 31, even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they may also obtain mercy. For God hath concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all, because every single Israelite has got some sins that they've done, man. Some have got sins unto death, right? And if you think that you haven't got sins unto death, well, let me just ask you this. Have you ever broke the Sabbath? Because if you have, that's a sin unto death. Now, it might not seem to you as though, oh, that's not that bad. But according to the scriptures, that's a sin unto death. So you might think, oh, I've never committed adultery, I'm not worthy of death. Well, if you've broke the Sabbath, then you are. Or you might say, oh, since I've known about what the Sabbath is, I've kept them all. How do you know? How can you confirm that you're in your own mind? How do you know in your own mind that you've kept it perfectly? How can you say that, man? When Yahweh is the standard of really dishing out the judgment, but we've been kept from the curse of the law, meaning the curse kept from the judgments of if we break certain laws. Now we've been kept from the judgments of what can happen for breaking those laws, man. So if a man breaks the Sabbath now, he's not gonna die. If a man bears false witness, he's not gonna be put to death. If a man hits another brother, right, and then repents afterwards, he's not gonna be made to be an eye for an eye. And now somebody has to punch him back in his face as hard as he hit another man. Verse 33, oh the depth of the riches both of the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh, how unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. Because it's a heavy thing as to when you really even think about it. You're like, he could have just, since everyone's gonna get it anyway, he could have just made all Israelites get it the first go round, since he's gonna make him have it anyway, right? But he did it his own way, because ultimately there's gonna be Israelites that are of the elect that have did wickedness, that don't deserve mercy, but are receiving mercy anyway. And there's going to be Israelites that have did wickedness that are not going to receive mercy, if we're thinking short term in terms of during the day of Yahweh's wrath, right? They're going to die in that time, but they're going to receive mercy ultimately, because they're going to be in the kingdom and they're going to be under the new covenant, keeping Yahweh's laws perfectly, and not have to be told to keep the laws, just like how we are going to be if we're of the elect. Because I don't want to try and make it sound like I am. But every Israelite is going to receive mercy. Anyway, let me read it again, verse 32. For God hath concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all, because even the elect, when they get in the kingdom, they're going to know that there's wickedness that they've did, man. Doesn't it say in the book of Ezekiel that after we end up going back to our land, that we're going to find out, we're gonna be shown our own wickedness? Roughly paraphrasing, it says we're going to be shown our own evil ways and our own evil doings, man. We're going to know the evil things that we did. So we ain't just going to be there, if we're of the elect, puffed up with our chest out like, man, them 2/3 were wicked, and thinking that we were the men and something righteous about ourselves. We're going to know that even we don't deserve it, and that the difference between us and them was mercy, was grace that we was given as a gift. not of works as anyone should boast. And that even to go one further, what's the reason why we're Israelites and we come from from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but Esau is an Edomite that's destined to be destroyed, but he comes from Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. Literally go back to the almost damn near the same genealogy, man. Yet Esau is going to get destroyed and Jacob's going to receive mercy. So how can you say that you're not loved by the Lord, man? It doesn't even say that in the scriptures that I've loved you, saith the Lord. Yet you say, wherein has that? In fact, let me read that. Right, it's mercy, man. It's about mercy, and I didn't even want to make this video go long, but it's about mercy, man. That Yahweh's had favor to the Israelites because He wanted to, and that's why it's hilarious when these people get angry that we're Israelites, because here it is in this time right now on this earth, they're living it up a lot nicer than we are on average, and they don't want to share none of that. But then now that they hear that we've got something, they don't want us to have anything, man. Because now they're starting to realize that it's unfair that we've got a bigger portion than them. But they didn't have a problem with it being unfair when they thought that they had a bigger portion than us. But now that they're seeing that it's actually the other way, they got a problem with it, man. Malachi chapter 1 and verse 2, I have loved you, saith Yahweh, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, wasn't he? Don't they have exactly damn near identical genealogy? Didn't they grow up in the same household? Yes, they did. Yet one of them's loved and their descendants, and one of them's hated and their descendants. One of them's going to get the new covenant and get individual everlasting life for both the whole nation and for each individual that's going to descend from that nation forever and be at peace forever. And the other one, the hated ones, the Edomites, they're going to get extermination off the face of the earth for no other reason than Yahweh wanted to have vessels of mercy and Yahweh wanted to have vessels of wrath. He wanted to have vessels of dishonor and vessels of honor. And if you don't believe that, read Romans the 9th chapter and you'll come to the conclusion yourself if you've been given the Spirit to understand this. Verse 3, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. And that's ultimately going to be shown in America, man. Right? America's going to be that main place where Esau's heritage is going to be left to the dragons of the wilderness, man. Read Isaiah 34. Read Revelation 18. Right? Read Isaiah 63. Read Isaiah 47. Right? Esau's heritage, the place that he put all of his thought process in how he's going to rule the world and thought that this is the place, right? That's going to be turned into a habitation for wild animals, man. America, man. His old land, Mount Sinai, that's already destroyed, but we're going to get that land. America is going to be the place that he's going to be a place that Esau's claimed as his own, but that's going to get completely destroyed, man. It's going to literally be a household for wild animals that can live in like crazy, hot, weird desert style habitation, man. Verse 4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, because Yahweh destroyed their homeland. Right? Their homeland ain't nowhere near like what America's like. But they're trying to build back and they're trying to build up America. Right? But I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness and the people against whom Yahweh have indignation forever. So Esau has already had one place of his that he could call home destroyed. And then he's made another one, America. And he brought every single nation there, heaped unto himself all people. But at the end of it, that's too's going to be destroyed, man. And why? What did the Israelites do that made them be worthy to have a land that's going to be theirs forever? Nothing. And what did the Edomites do initially for why they're going to be destroyed? Nothing, man. There wasn't no particular starting foundational thing that either nation did to where one was worthy of destruction and the other was worthy for salvation forever. Now the Edomites are wicked and have did works of wickedness now to where you can see why it's going to happen to them. But initially, they did not do anything. And the Israelites have done righteous works to a certain degree, especially with Yahweh Shai. But there wasn't no particular foundational thing that any nation did, any side did, to where they deserve mercy more so than any other one, man. And that's why when you go to Romans, what that scripture that I was reading a minute ago, it said that point there, man. How unsearchable are Yahweh's ways? Romans chapter 11 and verse 33. Oh, the depth of the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh. How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. For who have known the mind of the Lord, or who have been his counselor? Because we understand what we know from the scriptures, but we don't understand why it was that Yahweh came up through his own wisdom that this is the perfect way to show that he has a nation that he loves, and why this is the perfect way to show that he has a nation that he hates, man. We don't know why it was that he decided that this was going to be the method to show his wrath and to show his love, man. Yeah, it is though, right? We don't know how he made a whole earth that's got humans on it that can even think to conceive him. And then at the same time, there's humans on the earth that don't even believe he exists. Then there's humans on the earth that believe he exists, but believe that they're out of his power and out of his realm of control, even though they understand that he made them. Right? And that's why, like, Israelite, there's many things that I'm saying in this lesson, man, but the overall thing is that Israelites are beautiful and ugly at the same time. But then I've also said a few other things as well, man. But Israelites are beautiful and ugly at the same time, man. Right? You can see that when you look at them. And that's why it makes sense that every Israelite is going to ultimately receive mercy, man. And I'm going to end the lesson there. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Makar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the nation of Israel. Shalom.